Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. Hope you're all doing well. It's nice to be back. I took a little break and things are going much better. I really appreciate everyone who made a comment or sent me a message. Lily's doing a lot better and my mom is hanging in there. They're both doing very well. Lily's definitely responding to the medication, so we're all about quality of life at this point. And Lucky's doing fine and everyone's fine. I'm really happy that spring is here, although it's freezing outside today. We had that little tease last week. I don't know in your part of the world, but I was like, oh, it's finally warm again. Well, it was cold again today, but it's right around the corner and I think it is officially spring. So happy spring to everyone. And I hope you're having a wonderful time. I hope you're having a lovely time leading up to Easter, spring break, or however you celebrate the spring. I hope you're enjoying. So today I'm going to start with some mail, and then I have a thrift shop haul I'm going to go through. And then I also threw together, just for my own library, some old school April picks. I'm coming in a little late to the party on that one, but better late than never. Anyway, it's not even April yet, so what am I talking about? I have plenty of time. So I'll talk about that in a bit. So let's go over some mail. First off, I got a new Creepy Crate. So thank you, Creepy Crate, for sending this to me. I am going to record just a video on just opening this crate. So I got a nice yellow card, a letter from my friend Edie Lewis. So let's open and see. I actually received this a while ago, but I'm opening it now. Oh, this is sweet. Yellow is such a wonderful color for this time of year. All the daffodils in my backyard have bloomed. It's so pretty. Daffodils are probably my favorite flower along with pansies. Just my favorite. They're so sweet. So this is a lovely card. Thinking of you, God's promises are sure, his memories are new, his plans are good, and his love never fails. Oh, that's very sweet. Praying you'll sense God's gentle peace and goodness in a special way today. Just letting you know that you and yours are in my thoughts. If you need to reach out, don't hesitate. Edie, that's very sweet. Very, very sweet. I really appreciate this, Edie. I really do. And I was in a pretty sad place a couple weeks ago, but I'm doing better because they're doing better. So what else? I actually opened this already and I know what it is, but I was saving it for this video. I'm very excited to have purchased this lovely book from a dear friend here on BookTube. And this is Thorns in My Heart, a dark romance poetry collection by our own D.L. Tillery, the Mistress of Horror. She did a beautiful job with this cover. Embark on a poetic journey through the shadows of passion with Thorns of My Heart, a mesmerizing collection of 100 dark and evocative poems. I have a little blurb on the back because I am a fan of D.L.'s poetry and all of her work, really. She's a very multi-talented lady, author, has a great YouTube channel. She's a dancer and she does fantastic makeup. Like she's got it all going on. And if you don't know her channel, I'll put it below because you really should. And she has a poem in the latest Bookworms, dark love poem. So it's great. So let me just take a look at this a little bit. I'm excited to read this. She did a really nice job on this book. I'm sure it's probably available in ebook too. Oh wow, the first poem is dedicated to Pax Panic. So let me just take a moment to read this poem by D.L. Tillery. Pax. Power in her eyes, one never to bat a lash. She is known to be the Green Queen, but not the kind of envy. In a room of panic, we may hear a screech of static, but not to worry. It's only a hardback book against fabric. She reads long into the night, green lights bouncing along with the fright. A raw bladed necklace rests against her chest as she turns page after page of a creepy tale of the restless. A crochet needle in one hand and a bookmark in the other, she is much more than this deep, dark wonder. Oh, dear sister, in our hearts you shall live on forever, with green lights and sparkly thoughts to keep us in the winters. Wow, it's a beautiful poem, a lovely tribute. please do check out this work, Thorns of My Heart. I will put it below so you can click on it and get right to it. I did a little thrift store shopping the last few weeks, and I got a bit of a haul. So let's see what we got. Anytime I see a good V.C. Andrews, I pick it up, even though I'm sure I have this one. This is Wicked Forest. Has a nice step back cover. I'm pretty sure I have this one. I don't know. This one looks... I might not have this one. Wow. I have not read this series yet. This is the TBR series. No, I have not read this one. I wish they wouldn't put stickers on it, but yeah, I had to pick that one up. This is another book. Whenever I see one of these, I pick these up because I absolutely love Barbara Cartland. The Twists and Turns of Love. This is just a nice little Regency romance. She wrote so many books, and I'm in love with that author photo. I think I'm going to recreate that author photo for my next author photo. My author photo is a little old. It just had it has me and Lily. It doesn't even have Lucky in it, so Lucky's been in here for 2 years. But I'm going to do one of these with my dogs. It's just so great. I really like Barbara Cartland. I like short romance, formulaic romance books like hers. They're just the best. Here is another V.C. Andrews. I've definitely read this series. Heart Song, another great step-up cover. I have this. This is from the Logan series. That was a great series. As well as this one. This was also really awesome. Oh, you know what? This one, I have this one. It comes with a bookmark. They took it out. But this is V.C. Andrews' Pearl in the Mist. These were all 99 cents, and I'm hoping those stickers come off easily. That was a very good series. And whenever I'm thrift storing, I always carry in my phone a list of my missing book series. So I have the numbers of all the Nancy Drews that I'm missing. So when I find them, I'll pick up just the ones I'm missing from these editions, these 1960s editions. And this is The Mystery of the Moss-Covered Mansion. I did not have this one. Isn't that pretty? This is the type that I collect because these are the ones that I read as a kid. So it's a nostalgic journey for me. And these were a little more expensive than I usually pay for them. They were, well, it was $2.50. I really shouldn't complain. But this is one of the great illustrated classics that I collect, but I only collect, well, I say only. So far, I've only been collecting the ones that are like based on horror classics, but I'll probably collect other ones because I really do love these editions. This is the great illustrated classics, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. So these are abridged books written for young kids, and they're illustrated, and they're very nice bindings. They're paperbacks with that cellophane kind of cover. Okay, here's a book I found at one of the thrift stores. One of the Grady Hendrix. It might be the only Grady Hendrix that I didn't have, and this is Horror Store, based on the IKEA catalog. This is kind of a cool idea for a book, just with this catalog, even the shape of the book. I think this is one of Quirk Books' first Grady Hendrix printings. I'm not really sure, but they put a lot of effort into this book. And I believe this is somewhat of a collector's item, or it will be. So I grabbed it, and I hope to read it, because I always like his books. I haven't read everything that he's written, but I always enjoy when I do read. This, I wish that the dust jacket wasn't ripped, and of course, when the clerk put it in the bag, it got stuck and ripped even more, but I taped it. But this is called The Hamlin Book of Ghosts in Fact and Fiction. Whoa! This is a very cool book, and I was happy to get it, even though I'm sorry that it ripped. And it's one of those books that I love, that the hardcover is the same as the dust jacket, and it's beautifully illustrated. So these are ghost stories and like true haunting places with maps. Some of the illustrations are in color. And they have archival photographs and this kind of thing, like some neat illustrations. Like this would have been the type of book as a kid I would have just been like eating up. I really like books like this, especially when I was a kid and when I reread this, which I haven't, I mean, I've looked at it, I've read a couple things. I know it will give me that feeling again, which I love, is that it takes the subject really seriously and you believe it because we all know that it's true. So if I ever go to the UK, I'm bringing this as a guide and I'm going to look up all these haunted places. Okay, and speaking of haunts, here's a Halloween Best of Martha Stewart Living Halloween edition. Now, normally I don't buy like Martha Stewart books. Not that I have anything against her. I actually like Martha Stewart. And I remember reading the magazines back in the day, I guess like the 90s. But I couldn't resist this. Delicious tricks and wicked treats for your scariest Halloween ever. We start out with this R.I.P. I had a friend who actually worked for Martha Stewart in her company in New York, and he had all kinds of fun stories about her and that place, but I won't repeat them. But these are like craft things, recipes. I don't know. I just put me really in the mood for Halloween. It's just fun stuff if you want to decorate. Here's some a tutorial on how to do really cool mummy makeup. I love it. So yeah. And then I found a bunch of these books that I collect. Now I bought them all because they were only $2 each, and unlike my Nancy Drews, I had forgotten to put a list of the ones that I was missing in my phone, so I just grabbed them all. Mysteries of the Unknown, this was a Time Life book series from the 80s, late 80s into the 90s, and it's all topics like the occult, mysteries, kind of like ancient aliens, mysterious lands and peoples, like all kinds of fun stuff. Cosmic duality. I know I bought some doubles, but I have to go through now and see which ones I'm missing. But I just love these books and this very 80s kind of silver. Let me know if you know those books and if you love them as much as I do. And then along those lines, I found this Reader's Digest Mysteries of the Unexplained. Another one of those types of books, like the Carl Sagan books, How Ordinary Men and Women Have Experienced the Strange, the Uncanny, and the Incredible. This is a nice book, sort of like an encyclopedia type of format. So I was paging through this and chatting with Joe, and I opened to this illustration of the Jersey Devil, right there. I showed him the picture and said, "Is this what you saw in the woods back in 1982, I think it was, in the Pine Barrens, when we were driving through the Pine Barrens that late at night?" And he said, "That is exactly what I saw." And we both saw it together. So I've mentioned that story before, but that is definitely an interesting story because he is not Fortean like I am at all. My scarf is coming loose. I need Martha Stewart to show me how to tie it. All right, and just a couple more things. This book I found, you talk about synchronicities. I was listening to a podcast, and the author it was also one of those like 14 podcasts about fairies and brownies. And as soon as he said the word brownie, and I was listening to this podcast as I was going through the thrift store, which is one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite activities. And as he said brownie, my hand laid on this book, and it's all about brownies. So this is a beautiful children's book. There's a brownie floating in space. Brownies are kind of like when I was a kid, being a brownie was like being a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout for about 5 minutes. But brownies have a whole history. They're kind of like fairies, and they're not always nice. In fact, I think there's a horror book about brownies. Let me know if I'm right. Seems like that's ringing a bell. Anyway, this is a book that it was a Grossop and Dunlop book from 1948 in beautiful condition, beautifully illustrated. I sent a picture of this to my sisters saying, "This looks really familiar. Did we have this in our house?" And they were like a little unsure, but we definitely had books like this. Okay, and then wrapping up, I did find 2 more rare books at the antique store, and I bought them half price. And this is The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. And this one is not signed. I did get another Jack Ketchum that is signed on my last haul. Let me just check. But I think this is a rare edition. Never read this book. I know about this book and I know about the story behind this book, but I'm a little scared. I might just sell these books in our store because I'm not a big fan of extreme horror, but there are a lot of people who are. And then I also found this. Whoever collected these definitely was a fan of, or else they just collected extreme horror, because this is another one, Ever Nat by Edward Lee. This is a rare chapbook edition of this short story or novella, and it is signed by the author. And I don't want to crack the spine because I probably will be selling these. But I will have a big announcement about that because that's big news. Okay, sorry for the noise. So that was my haul, and I've already talked a lot, but now I'm even going to go further by talking about this Old School April. Now, I was a little busy when these announcement videos came out a few weeks ago, but I did watch a couple of my friends who are involved in this, and Kelsey from Slime and Slashers is really nice channel. She is the host along with Alex the Bookubus, Elizabeth Sagewood, Andrew from It Came From the Page, and Cameron Chaney, and more. This is just the Blue Barracuda team. There's a whole other bunch of teams. This thing is huge, this project. I mean, I was like, wow, I'm going to check this out. Then I was like, whoa. I did join the Blue Barracuda team, and I'm going to try to see what's going on in the Discord and get caught up on everybody's videos because I haven't watched them all. I will link Kelsey's original video in the description below if you want to get involved, because this sounds like so much fun. There are so many prompts. I mean, I printed out, there are Google Docs, you can print stuff out, there's all kinds of activities, and frankly, I know I'm not going to be able to do all of these, but I don't think you're supposed to. But I thought it would be fun just to go through my shelves and come up with some ideas for some of the prompts. So let's see how far I get. The first prompt, larger than life, read a book over 300 pages. I just randomly pulled this book off the shelf. It's a really nice edition. It's 400 and something pages. This is Graham Masterton Mirror. I really don't know much about this book, but it also suits a couple other of the prompts, one of which is have a book with gold on the cover. So that's got that. You know, it's fun just to randomly choose a book, and it looks really good from the description, which I won't get into because this video is already going to be really long. Next one, Retro Vintage. Read a book published before 2005. Well, this one also fits this, you know, so there's a lot of overlap, and plus all the other books I have were probably published before 2005, at least most of them. Time Warp. Read a book set in the 80s or 90s, or a book with a nostalgic vibe. So let's see what I got. Okay, this is, I believe this is the first edition of this book. This is Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. Definitely from the 80s, and it definitely has a nostalgic vibe, and I've read it before, but I might read it again because I really like this book a lot. And I think there's also, neon is one of the prompts. Book with neon color on cover. Well, there you go. To me, this looks really, really retro. This book is a first edition, I believe, 1985, but it's not perfect. Some of the pages are damaged, but it's okay. It's a good reading copy. And very 80s. Yearbook. Read a book from the year or decade you were born. I beg your pardon. Well, that is definitely before the 80s, let me just say. I'm pretty sure there's a fantasy prompt on here. I just can't locate it right now. But this book was written in 1964, and I was born in the 60s. That's all I'm going to say. And it's one of my favorite fantasy books from that era. I loved these books when I was a kid. This is The Book of Three by Lloyd Alexander. Beautiful copy. I got the whole set during a library sale, and I was thrilled because those are the books I read when I was a kid from the library. Okay, next one, Killer Clowns, book featuring a clown or carnival. Well, if you're doing Old School April, you can always do my book, CARNI, just to give myself a plug here, for the clown prompt. But since I wrote it, I will not be reading CARNI, but I am going to read a book with a clown. Someone gave this to me, a good friend of mine, for my birthday, and I haven't read it yet, and it is a nice signed copy. This is Clown in a Cornfield Friendo Lives. So this is part 2 in the book series by Adam Caesar. I'm definitely going to try to get to that because, yeah, I've been wanting to read it, so this gives me a good excuse. Free Willy, read an animal attack book or a book featuring an animal companion. Okay, for that one, I have a book I got in a thrift store a couple months ago, and this is Peter Benchley's Beast. Looks like a giant octopus attack or something. This is a great beach read. I haven't read this one. Of course, he wrote Jaws and The Deep, which I love that movie with Nick Nolte. Oh my gosh, my crush. Yeah, anyway, that's definitely old school. Buffy, read a book written by a woman or a female protagonist. This is another book that I've been meaning to read, and she was such a sweetheart to send this to me. And this is Amy McCaw's Mina and the Slayers, book 2 in the Mina and the Undead series. I've been meaning to read this, and I think this also fits in with the YA prompt. So, Teen Witch, read a book with magical elements, which is cursed objects. Oh, the mirror from the description is a cursed object. So there's the overlap. So it's not so hard. VCR, read a book with old technology on the cover. This is another Grady Hendrix book, and I have a confession to make. I started this and I never finished it. So I'm going to start this again when I read it. And this is My Best Friend's Exorcism. And it's not because it wasn't good. I just, you know how that happens sometimes. It just happened to me again recently. It's like you got to start the car up again. Well, I got to start this one up again. This is definitely the old technology. This is a brilliant cover with the VHS. It looks like when you used to go to the video store, and I still have some of those old VHSs. Throwback. Well, these are all throwbacks. But read a Christopher Pike or Fear Street or Point Horror book. This is Christopher Pike, The Wicked Heart. It definitely has an 80s vibe with that great neon typeface. So I think what I'll probably do is, from this group, is pick a couple to read for this month or for April. But who knows? I could read all of them, you know? I've been reading a lot. Mall of America. A mall is featured in the book or story. That one I was not able to find, but I'm sure if I were really to go through every book, I would find it. It kind of made me want to find that book set in the mall, but it couldn't come. I didn't think of one right off the top of my head. Toy Story, read a book featuring toys or dolls and the story on the cover. This is a reissue paperback from hell, When Darkness Loves Us by Elizabeth Engstrom. And it features a broken doll on the cover. I have no idea if this is about a doll, but that should do that. And that's a book I bought a few years ago that I never read, not yet, but I will. Mini-Me, Short Circuit, read a short story or a novella. Well, a lot of these are novellas, so that's covered. Pimp My Ride, read a host recommendation or host book club book. Kelsey recommended Cameron Chaney's book, Fresh Hell for Autumn Crow High, which I have read. So I'm not sure if I have to watch everybody's videos and see what those are, so I don't really know off the top of my head, but that was a good recommendation. Off the Rack, read a nostalgic magazine. This also, I think, counts for, there's a grunge prompt and a music prompt, but how fun is this? This is called Zombie Punk, issue number 1 by R.L. Migdal. It's like Kurt and Courtney battling it out with little Frances Bean there. This is just a fun comic. I bought this at a bookstore in Easton, PA, and I brought it up to the counter, and the guy, I don't know if he is the owner, but he's like, oh, my wife did this. This is my wife's comic. So I was like, that's cool. Oh, Reading Rainbow, read a book by a diverse author or a book with a diverse cast of characters. Okay, this one. This is a book, and it's also science fiction, which is one of the prompts. This is a book I've had for a while. It's also a novella, or maybe a short story. This is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. And I don't know if I said that name correctly. Forgive me if I got it wrong, but this is, I think, hits both of those sci-fi and diverse marks, and I've been wanting to read this. This one, I was a little confused about. Spellmaster, spell an 80s or 90s word listing letters from anywhere on the front cover. I need more help with that one, so I'm going to skip that one. And I'm also skipping this one. Match a book to a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. I don't know. I've heard of Power Rangers, but that's not my time. I have no idea what that is, like some toy or something. Sorry. 16 Candles. Read a book with a number in the title. Well, 0, does that count as a number? Less than 0? Say Anything. Read a book featuring music or musical elements. My zombie punk Curtin Courtney comic will fit that bill, I hope. The Young and the Restless. Read a romance or smut or saucy book. The Barbara Cartland book, maybe. I'll include that. Read a book with food on the cover in the story. I don't think I have that, but I'm sure I do somewhere. X-Files. Read a sci-fi book. That was the Binti book. Tiny Toons. Read a book with an unhinged character. I'll have to get Batilda to write something. She's definitely unhinged. I'm sure some of these characters are completely unhinged. Read a book that matches a boy band song. That's fun. I didn't get to that one yet. Fern Gully. I don't really know what that refers to. Read a book with a nature featured on the cover of the story. I may have a little nature there. Sesame Street, the letter picker, use letter picker wheel and read. Okay, I'm going to skip that one. Name first or last that begins with that letter. I'm going to skip that one too, because I'm not really sure how the letter picker works. All right, this might just be me. I have to go into the Discord and bone up on some of these prompts. Muppet Babies, read a picture book. Okay, that's covered. Willow, read a fantasy book. That's covered. I knew that was in there with my Lloyd Alexander book. Pretty in Pink, read a book with a color in the title. There was definitely pink in that Christopher Pike. Monster Squad, read a book with any kind of monster in the story. So I pulled from my Mysteries of the Unknown, Mysterious Creatures. There's got to be a monster in there. See how involved this is? The Goonies, read a middle grade or YA book, covered. True Life, read a nonfiction book, covered. Back to the Future, read a book featuring time machine or multiple timelines. I don't think I have that one. Halfway to Halloween, read a book set around Halloween. Well, I'll just pull out that Martha Stewart book. That's perfect. Once Upon a Forest, read a coming of age story and book with a cast of kids and the main character. Think the Mina book. We'll cover that. These prompts are very cool. Freddy's Nightmare, read a book that could give you nightmares. Any of these books, I think, could give me nightmares, especially the Curtin Courtney one. British Invasion, read a book written by a British author. I think some of this might be covered there. Scooby-Doo, read a book where man is the real monster. That's probably covered too. Nirvana Grunge, read a used or borrowed book. Well, any of those books are used, so many of them. Ghostwriter, read a book about books or about writers. And I've been dying to read this. This is Bare Bones Conversations on Terror with Stephen King. I found this book in a thrift store and was really thrilled to get it because I'd never run into this book. And I really haven't heard much about this. So I will definitely try to include that. And New Kid on the Block, read a new to you author or genre. Well, this one, Binti. This is a new to me author. And perhaps genre, because it looks a little out there. And Little Golden Book, read a book with gold on the cover. So that's covered. Okay, I've made a huge pile of books all around me. Between my haul and these old school April books, I've got a lot of reading to do. So let me know in the comments below if you are doing old school April. I would love to hear your thoughts. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.